This is exactly what I mean. These comments literally are just like a joke. He's talking about he wants to prove that he lives on a ball, okay? And I'm saying we don't live on a ball, and there's no observations that prove you live on a ball. And he says, do you drive your car and think the road is moving and you're staying still? Like, what? Is that supposed to be an argument? I'm the one pressing the gas pedal, rolling my tires on the road. It's not that difficult. Like, that doesn't equate to standing on a level, stationary, topographical plane where there is no curvature anywhere. There's no curvature on any large bodies of water. And even though it's assumed to be flat for a local measurement, somehow they've turned that into convincing people that they live on a sphere. But there's no observations in reality that any rational person would stop and say, I think I live in a ball. The only reason why people think it must be a ball is because they're regurgitating the indoctrination from the programming from the Department of Education, from the media, from NASA, wherever they got their programming from. So those institutions will program you by putting ideas in your head, by saying, of course we know the earth is round because we see the sun rise and the sun sets and we see boats going over the horizon. I mean, look up proof that earth is a globe and it will literally tell you sunrise, sunsets, time zones, seasons, boats disappearing over the horizon. None of those prove that you live on a globe at all. But they tell you that so people that don't do their own research actually think that they're right. So they argue from this position of supremacy because they think that they're the ones that are listening to the smart people, like the scientists who told them, and they're parroting and regurgitating what they learned. So they assume by default that they are correct. So they ignore all other arguments. They're not doing their own research. And that is the matrix of that system, to make you feel like, it's just like on the Truman Show when he said, when I get older, I want to be an explorer. And she shows him the map and says, well, we've already figured everything all out. We don't need you to be an explorer. We need you to be a good worker. We need you to do your assignments. We need you to answer the questions on the test and get good grades so we can assess you and make sure that you're really good at following the system and the strict protocols of the bureaucratic society. Because basically what they're saying is, hey, we want to test you. They use in school to test you, to brainwash you and teach you. And what they're doing is they're setting up a system where anybody who is like, hold on a second, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Wait a minute. And that anyone that's asking questions, like me, I was like the worst student in school. I remember when I got my school records after I graduated, I went and got my files. And I got suspended from high school 42 times. Like, I literally didn't care about school in high school. Why? Because I was like, this is stupid. I'm not going to need any of this stuff. Like, you're teaching me a bunch of stuff I don't care about. But if you actually think about it, I love to learn. But I love to learn things that are real. I love to learn about physics and science, real science. I'm not anti-science. When they say, flat earthers are anti-science. No, we're not anti-science. If you actually reverse engineer what you just said, the Globers are actually anti-science because the entire heliocentric model is not scientific. The scientific method was not used to formulate the heliocentric model. It's a mathematical construct that's internally consistent, and it's based on the observations. So they took the observations and mathematically inverted them from your celestial sphere of vision, and they've turned it into a sphere under your feet, even though all of your celestial measurements are done from a flat plane. If think about it, if we lived on a sphere, zenith would be radial. Why isn't zenith radial? Because they put you at the center of a celestial sphere on a flat plane. That's why zenith isn't radial. And that's why they have to do that, because if they didn't do that, and if they did the elevation angle measurements from the outside of the sphere, like where you would be actually standing, then zenith would be radial. But they can't get around that one, can they? So these comments, I'm blocking everybody that makes stupid comments like this. It's dumb. And the reason, I mean, I'm telling you, they have millions of bot accounts that are out there, and they're basically analyzing and assessing and getting the algorithm, and anything that talks against the mainstream narrative, they're going in and they're putting these parroted thoughts. They're all getting access to the same database of information and comments based on whatever the topic of the video is, and they're commenting that they're just taking little clips, commenting, they're using AI to do it. So that way, if somebody posts something that's truth, that exposes a system, there's 100 comments from AIs that are, if you look at their pages, they're following one person and they have no followers and no posts. You know what I mean? Like, they're not a real account, but it looks like it. So anybody that's actually questioning things, that wants to learn, they see the video, they're like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But then they look at the comments, and out of 50 comments, 48 of them are these AI bots. And these AI bots make it look like, oh my God, nobody agrees with this guy. But really, the 2 comments that agree with this guy, people that actually use critical thinking, those are the real people. And yeah, sure, there's a couple Globies in there, like real Globies who fell for the spell and they're under the mind control. But, those people, they're just part of the system. They don't realize they're like worker bees. They're providing a free service to the government by protecting the narrative. But anyways, use your brain. Dusty truth.